freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation
without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion,
or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well
and I will well
and faithfully discharge
and faithfully discharge
the duties upon
the duties upon
which I'm about to enter.
which I'm about to enter.
Congratulations. We're now commissioners for the Library Commission. Also, I will have these oaths mailed to you. You'll keep the one with the blue trimming, and then the other one, if you can please sign and then put it in a self-addressed envelope that we'll be sending to you, and then just put it in the mail. So, like again, I mentioned we're going to have a orientation for the commissioners, and all you are invited for October 26th, and it'll be virtual. You'll get the up-to-date commission handbook, and you'll have speakers there giving you some insight related to City Hall and city business. So that's it. And I'm Eleanor, by the way.
Thank you.
And welcome back, Commissioner Hall, and welcome aboard, Commissioner Willers.
Okay, so you can go ahead and start your meeting. I'm going to go ahead and go. I just wanted to do the oath. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're calling the commission to order, and I'll do the roll call. So Vice Chair Koopman.
Here.
Commissioner Hall.
Here.
Commissioner Worsing.
Here.
Commissioner Willers.
Here.
And Commissioner Nafisi. Oh, I think you're muted, Commissioner Nafisi.
Hear me?
Yes, now we can. Yes. And Chairperson Beauchamp is not here this evening, and Chairperson Commissioner Walls is also not here this evening. So I think Vice Chair Koopman, you can lead this to the flag.
I'm going to skip the second roll call because I think I know what she was trying to do, but it's.
I don't think we have to do a second one now.
Okay. All right. Commissioner Nafisi, could you please lead the salute to the flag?
Oh, Commissioner Nafisi, I think we can't hear you again. Yeah, we can.
Okay, I think it just takes a second to, sorry about that. Okay. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the
United States of America,
for which it stands,
Republic for which it stands,
one
nation,
under God,
under God, indivisible,
with liberty and justice
for all. Sorry, there's a little bit of a lag. Like a chorus.
The intent was there. Okay. I haven't done this in a long time, Susan.
Okay, and yes, and actually, I have a suggestion for us to approve order of agenda that we, one of you will need to initiate this, but that we move up the officer elections to the top of the agenda after. Actually, I think it needs to be the first order of business here.
Okay, so after consent calendar?
Oh,
no, I'm sorry.
I think it has to be even before that.
Oh, okay. Okay, so before.
Because I think to hold the meeting, we have to elect new officers.
Okay, so we need to approve the order of the agenda. We'll make a motion to change the order of the agenda, and then we'll do it before the blue folder items is what you're suggesting?
Yes, so somebody needs to make a motion and then a second. And
I can make a motion to change the order of agenda.
Is there a second?
Yeah.
I didn't hear. Is there a second?
So second order of the agenda to have the officer elections first.
Great. Thank you. So Okay, and then we'll have to do a roll call vote, right, Susan?
Yes.
Okay,
So I think we had a motion and a second.
yes. we
And
did.
then I think you do the roll call vote.
Oh, okay, I wasn't sure. Okay. It's been a long time. Commissioner Hall,
Aye.
Commissioner Worsing,
Aye.
Commissioner Willers,
Aye.
Commissioner Nafisi,
Aye.
and I vote aye. Okay, motion.
Okay. So the first order of business then will be the election of officers. Now, our current chair, Andrew Beauchamp, is here this evening. He did say that he would be willing to serve as chair again, but he would also be happy to let somebody else serve as chair if other people are interested. So just FYI. So what we do is the chairperson, which would be our acting chairperson, Koopman, will open nominations for the positions of chair and vice chair, and then close nominations, and then call for a motion, and the new officers assume their seats.
Well, I feel awkward making this nomination since he's not here, but I would like to nominate him. When you're not here, oh well. But I like to nominate Commissioner Beauchamp for chair again.
I'm happy to second. This is Candace Nafisi.
And Commissioner Koopman, are you willing to serve as vice chair again? If you were so nominated?
As long as I get a gavel. I'm kidding. Yes, I'd be happy to serve again.
Commissioner Worsing, do you want to amend the motion then to nominate those two?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Do we also ask if anyone else is interested? I don't want to just make assumptions.
Yes, I don't have to I don't have to continue if someone else wants to continue. And I feel, and as you said, Andrew felt the same way.
I'm happy because I've only been on the commission for not even a year. And obviously Margaret is new.
Less than an hour.
I've only been here a year. I'm happy to have everybody
Yeah.
continue.
So, okay. So with that discussion, if it's all right, then I will amend the motion to nominate Commissioner Beauchamp as chair and Commissioner Koopman as vice chair.
Okay.
I second.
Yes.
I have to do a roll call again. Thank you.
Yes.
We're used to it. Okay. Commissioner Hall,
Aye.
Commissioner Worsing,
Aye.
Commissioner Willers,
Aye.
Commissioner Nafisi,
Aye.
and Commissioner me. Yes.
Commissioner me.
Yes, Commissioner me.
All right. By the way, Commissioner Willers, this is kind of an unusual meeting because we've got our chairperson's out and we've got a lot going on and we're on Zoom, but usually a little tighter than this.
That's all right. We'll figure it out.
Okay, so now we can just go back to our regularly scheduled meeting here.
Great. So now we are on the blue folder items. I don't believe we have any blue folder items, correct?
No.
Okay.
No.
And then, all right, moving on, consent calendar. Would anyone like to make a motion to approve the consent calendar?
Make a motion to approve the consent calendar.
And is there a second?
A second.
Great. Okay. And then we will do another roll call. Commissioner.
Can we have a discussion first? I don't know what a consent calendar is.
Oh, okay. It's basically all the items. Wait, Susan, may I answer or should you answer?
You can answer.
Okay. It's basically items that were given to us beforehand. So you'll get a packet and it'll have the minutes and the posting and any other additional items. you read those, and if you're okay with those items, then we just put them on a consent calendar. That way we just move, we don't have to discuss them. We would just move on to the next
Okay.
topic.
Okay.
But sometimes there are times where like there was a discussion and they said that you said something, but it wasn't you, it was Commissioner Hall. So you may want to make that change. So then you pull the minutes from the consent calendar to make those edits.
Okay.
Right. It's never to make, it's to correct what happens, not to amend what happened. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure. Of course. I think I was in the middle of voting, right?
Right,
Okay.
right.
Commissioner Hall,
Aye.
Commissioner Worsing,
Aye.
Commissioner Willers,
Hi.
Commissioner Nafisi,
Aye.
and I vote yes. So motion passes. Fantastic. Okay. Sorry, my computer screen keeps moving, so that's why I'm a little. There we go. Okay. Now we are on to excluded consent calendar items. I don't believe we have any, right, Susan?
No,
Okay. And then on to public participation on non-agenda items. I don't think we have any.
we don't have anyone here.
Okay, but let's move. And then items that continued from previous agendas. Okay. Discussion of open access.
Okay, so Commissioner Nafisi had asked that I bring this item back with a little more detail on what some of the surrounding systems were doing with Open Plus Access. At our last meeting, we had the director, Nancy Schramm, the director of the Ventura County Library, come and describe what was going on in Ventura County. So some of the Ventura County information is stuff that she talked about at our last meeting, but I just got some more details from her and sort of spelled them out here in terms of the money they were saving and got a little bit more into the details there. And then Torrance Public Library is instituting Open Plus Access at the El Retiro branch. So since that's so close to Redondo Beach, I think that it's good you all are bringing this information to the council's attention because they might hear about it, from some Redondo Beach residents if some of them also have Torrance library cards. And they were hoping to open in August with it, but they had basically a serious plumbing issue where the branch got flooded. And so they had to close the branch and they're having to replace a lot of the furniture. So it's still closed. So they weren't able to open with the Open Plus Access yet. When they do, they'll kind of have a branch remodel now along with it. But their plan is to have it open from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Monday through Saturday. And that is partially because it's in a park. The El Retiro, there's a lot of like families and seniors who hang out in that park in the morning. So it just allows them that early morning access. And then they stopped off, they had hours cuts just like we did because of COVID. They had budget cuts. And so they no longer have Sunday hours at that main library in Torrance. So they may offer some Sunday hours eventually at this branch as well through Open Plus. And then Santa Monica Public Library also, they really had hour cuts as well because of COVID. So they have instituted Open Plus at their Ocean Park branch. And I think they had to close that branch on Wednesdays and Fridays because of their cuts, but now they're able to offer access on Wednesdays and Fridays through Open Plus. And I did talk to them, but they had just kind of started it up when I spoke to them. And so they said the community is sort of slowly getting used to it and they're starting to see more people use it. But, once Torrance is up and running, probably a lot of us have Torrance Public Library cards. So it could be something we could check out, although we'd have to, in order to check out how it works, you do have to, sign up for usage, the ability to access the branch. But, and I put some details in there about how much it costs them. Torrance and Santa Monica got a grant from the state library. So that helped a lot with the cost. So I think that's some good background information to have for our council.
Thank you, Susan. Any other comments or questions?
Is that grant something that we could still apply for?
Yes, they are going to offer it this next year as well.
Susan, where are we? How far? I mean, I know we're doing the research stage right now, correct? I mean, what's the likelihood of this actually being implemented in the libraries?
In Redondo Beach, you mean?
Mm-hmm.
That kind of leads us to the next item a little bit. If we go to, I don't know if we're ready to go to the next item, but we were going to introduce this as a strategic planning item to see, if the city was interested in exploring this, because I think we would have to look into the feasibility of it with our facility. And to see if there was interest with the city in doing it. That is one thing, Commissioner Hall, that even if they offer this grant again, whether we'll have the timing to get it this next year, but maybe they'll offer it again the following year. But they still don't have a strategic planning date, although I think the last I heard, they were going to bring back to council some options for facilitators. So again, I'm hoping maybe before our December meeting, we will have had strategic planning, but I'm not totally sure about that.
Okay.
And then each strategic planning process is typically 6 months.
Right. Okay. Okay. Have we discussed this outside the library? Has there been? Let me read. Have you discussed the topic of open plus access to people outside of the library within the city?
You mean outside of the commission, but within the city?
Yes. Yes.
No, partially because the city manager, Joe Hefkin's retiring in November. So he's probably wouldn't want to make really weigh in on this because he's about to leave. So I think, to me, this, it definitely, like I said, I hope we have a strategic planning session before December, because I do think it'd be a very interesting item to go before the city council and just see what their interest in it would be, especially if we think we're going to have reduced hours, in the years to come. I have not spoken to anyone else about it yet. I think it would have to be a process of looking at it with both the IT department and the public works department, because, what are the challenges in terms of the facility, and then, in terms of IT being able to work on the project as well.
Great. Thank you. Does anyone else have any other questions or comments?
One more thing. Yeah. Do you know a breakdown of how much of the grant covered what for the other libraries? Like, did it cover having to do the rewiring and facility?
Yeah.
Or?
With some details in there. I believe they said that it would cover the subscription costs for, let's see. So for Torrance, it looks like it's going to cost them like $9,000 per year going forward. And the $5,000 they had to do in terms of work in the facility was covered. And the first 2 years of the subscription cost was covered. Okay. And with Santa Monica, let's see, they spent more in terms of modifying the facility. So I think they had to pony up more in terms of the modification cost of the facility. But I think they also got the first 2 years of the subscription, which was for 2 years together, $24,000 covered.
I would like to just mention that someone from the North Redondo Beach Business Association had, because he knows that I'm on the Library Commission, had reached out about because evidently they used to have their business meetings at the library pre-pandemic. And he was looking forward to being able to hold them at the library again in the future at the North Branch. And I said, well, we're proposing something. It will be a while, but I think you'll be really happy if it happens. So,
That was, I believe, in Ventura County. She did say that they have it configured so that people can use the meeting rooms as well.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Susan. Does anyone else have any other questions or comments? No? Okay, moving on. Next item on the agenda is discussion of strategic planning.
So Commissioner Worsing and Chairperson Beauchamp did put together a letter that would be from the Commission for the next strategic planning session, recommending that this be explored, the feasibility of instituting Open Plus access, which I think we finally decided is supposed to be non-capitalized.
okay, thank you.
I had seen it written different ways, but I think we've decided officially it's all non-caps. So this is the rough draft of the letter for you all to comment on, suggest any changes, and then we could finalize it. And, we would have Chairperson Beauchamp sign it, and then it could go into the packet for the next strategic plan. And once we know that date, if any of you all want to speak on the issue, you could also do so at strategic planning.
Can I ask, so is the proper order for the commission as a whole to agree on this letter before it goes forward?
Correct. So
Okay.
Right now, I think you all would suggest any changes you would want to see, and then vote on those changes, or just vote that you approve the letter as it is. The only mistake I made is on the second page, I still have those lines on the side of the letter from the.
I think you all did a wonderful job with the letter. I think
Exactly.
there's a few things in the report that we have here that I think maybe would be useful to add. Just some of the things you had put, Susan, about the Hill Road Library, that, looking at like the cost compared to having a librarian there during that time, the fact that it creates the 60% discount might maybe be something to add in, just because I think that's pretty good way to really illustrate the benefits of the program. But otherwise, I think it's great.
Did they use the word discount, or is it just 60% of
60% of the cost?
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't want them to think that librarians are discounted.
Sorry. I think discount was the language up above, so I just grabbed that. But whatever, anyway.
Yeah. So can I just clarify? We didn't get into a lot of specifics because we don't know exactly how much our system would cost. So we did in the letter, we said that we assumed it would be less than 50,000, and we kind of made some assumptions there that were very general. And said basically anything above 10 hours of service a month would produce operating savings based on the assumptions that we had used. So we could include some additional details, but again, without knowing exactly how much our system will cost and whether the grant will be available at the time, it's still assumptions that will be listed.
Yeah.
Commissioner Hall, to just add on to what Commissioner Worsing is saying, so right above frequently asked questions, we kind of estimate what we might save in versus staffing. However, in the paragraph about Ventura County, which is like the third paragraph in the letter, I add some of this information that I've got in this report about what their savings were, if you all think that would be helpful.
Valuable, very valuable. But they're going to say, well, we don't have to pay for a librarian to be there now, so how could it be saving us any money?
Well, I mean, that is.
I don't mean to be mean about this, but I mean,
Well, it's not saving us money, but it's not serving our customers by not having a librarian there. This is a way of serving our customers without paying for a librarian to be there.
yeah.
Yep. I mean, one of the things that.
But I think that point needs to be made in the letter.
I hope we made that, but
it's interesting because, when we had our hours cut, it was during the 2020 budget, and we ended up being closed for a long time after that, still where we were just doing the library takeout. So by the time we actually reopened to the public, I think people thought the hours we reopened with were still some kind of pandemic hours that I hadn't really set in, like these are the hours. And we're just slowly kind of getting back to our normal sort of usage of the library. And my prediction is, as we've had some complaints about the reduction in hours, and as things get more and more back to normal, we will probably see more complaints from the public about why aren't you open more hours? So maybe there needs to be something. We do have something in the first paragraph about how the hours were reduced due to budget cuts and how much North hours were reduced. I don't know if we feel like that covers that, or.
What I would like to suggest is taking a shot at revising the letter and perhaps closing the letter with a summary paragraph that just reiterates, the fact that, without a librarian there, we're not serving our community, and a few of the other things that we've talked about here, including some additional details. So could I move to create a small subcommittee to revise the letter? Is that appropriate at this point, or shall we continue discussing?
Well, I think it looks like Commissioner Nafisi has her hand up.
Oh, sorry.
Let's hear from.
Thank you so much for writing the letter. It's greatly appreciated. For one thing, I don't know if we have the time to do a small committee, and so maybe we could just agree on the changes that we make, and then you guys just submit it. What is strategic planning? Well,
We don't know yet, but it's possible, or I would think it's probable it's before our next meeting. So what we could decide is to, for instance, we could have Commissioner Worsing and Chairperson Beauchamp just reiterate about the loss of hours in a closing paragraph. And if you all would think it would help the letter, I could add this information about the savings that Ventura County realized into the paragraph about Ventura County. Or I could work with Commissioners Worsing and Beauchamp to do that.
I think that would be great, as long as we agree on the changes that need to be made. And then if I could just kindly request that we add the date to the letter. That's the only recommendation I have. Thank you.
Okay.
Candace, I didn't hear what you wanted to add.
Oh, I just wanted to add the date to the letter at the top of the letter.
I just wanted to say, I believe it was Commissioner Worsing and Commissioner Beauchamp who drafted the letter, correct?
And Director Anderson.
Oh, it's a great letter. I will have to say, I wonder though, I know how I feel like it's going to go in a big packet of things, right? Do you think it'll get lost if there wasn't like more bullet points or something that just kind of pops out? You know what I'm saying? I'm afraid that they're going to just see it and not read it. I want them to read it is what I'm trying to say. So what can we do to make it pop? Like, will bullet points help? Like, I really love the FAQs on the second page because it does ask the pointed questions that they're going to ask. But I'm wondering if there's something we could do.
Well, the other option is we could have one of our commissioners go to strategic planning, and there is a session in strategic planning where commissioners can speak and speak on any letter that they've submitted.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
Also speak to the different council members before that. So any of you guys wanted to send letters to council members just saying, hey, I hope you really consider this, like on the side. We can do that, right? I think we did that in the past too, right? Susan?
I don't recall doing that, but maybe we have in the past. Have we, Susan?
I feel like we did.
But
the chair, I remember the chair did. The chair did.
Look at us volunteering Commissioner Beauchamp again.
What might make it exciting is if, one of you all actually, went to Torrance and checked out El Retiro and came back and talked about your experience and,
I'm happy to do that.
I thought El Retiro, you said wasn't ready yet.
it's not ready yet, but my guess is it will be ready to go by the end of this month. I think they've cleaned up the branch now, and so they just need to get some new furniture in there.
I would love to. I don't have, I guess I would just have to open a library card or get a library card there. I just don't have one.
I would love for us to take a field trip, but I think that may be a Brown Act violation, so.
Well, Commissioner Hall, do you have a Torrance library card?
I don't currently, but I can get one.
And we think the next strategic planning council meeting will be before December.
If it's not before December, this has been a really long time for us to go without, like a very long time. We haven't had one then really since March of, we probably had one in October 2019. And then we sort of had one in a city council meeting where they asked for, suggestions that then they were all going to vote on and bring that back, but that never happened. So it's been quite a while, considering that usually we have one every 6 months.
Mm-hmm. I'm open to suggestions. I think there's a lot of ideas on the floor right now in terms of going to El Retiro, checking it out, speaking to the different council members, and also revising the letter somehow. I believe there is, so we can do all those. it is kind of awkward though without an actual date of meeting.
Exactly.
Well, potentially you all could vote on the changes you want to see in the letter. Maybe we could have 2 people who would volunteer to go to strategic planning, and hopefully at least one of those people, a main person and an alternate, since we don't know the date.
Or even if there's going to be a date.
Yeah, between now and December.
At some point.
Right. That seems very obtuse to me.
And then just, this may be off topic, but not really, but it's when do we know about the surplus in the budget? Did that already pass, or is that, I feel like that's coming up.
That's mid-year, which is usually like February, I believe.
So it's coming up, correct? Right?
The budget gets proposed in January, and a couple months later, they'll do like a
So
budget.
I'm wondering, could we combine these 2 letters? Or do you think it'd be totally unrelated?
What are the two letters? I'm
It's
confused.
unrelated. So
Okay.
for Willers, like several years ago, I mean, it might have been, I think because of the pandemic, but maybe 3 years ago, the commission wrote a letter to ask if there was any surplus during the mid-year budget. Could we have some funds for the collection?
Mhm.
Which we did get, but that was at least 3 years ago now, I would say.
I think we've asked every year since then, though, and I feel we've gotten some money.
You have asked during the budget, but I think you only asked the one mid-year because like the pandemic hit and there was no surplus really.
Right. Oh, that's true. So yes, it was a few years ago. We drafted a letter asking for extra funds because some departments don't use all their money. And
Okay.
because of that, there's a surplus of money. And so we asked for that surplus.
From the year before, from the budget the year before.
Yes.
Right, get it.
I kind of thinking, I mean,
If you combine them, you're just going to muddy the waters.
I'm gonna doubt there's gonna be a surplus this year, but the financial picture has been sort of a roller coaster, so hard to say.
Oh, got it. Okay. No, it's fine. And this is where we rely on your insight. So, okay.
Now, we could, I think when we get to referrals to staff, that was a really good thing to bring up, Commissioner Koopman, because maybe that could be a topic we could discuss at the next, put it on the agenda for the next meeting.
Okay. 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 So
I think you would muddy the waters if you asked for two things at the same time. Or
Well-
make the open access contingent on a surplus.
Well, right now we're looking at open access being a strategic planning item. And I think the reason we were looking at it for strategic planning is because we're probably going to need to work with the other departments to see if it's even feasible for this location.
Right.
So if we asked for the money and got it, I think we need to have a little bit of a feasibility study first to even see if we can implement it. I think that we can, but I can't say that for sure without working with Public Works and IT.
So you think combining the two is a good idea?
No, because if we asked for the money and they said yes, we don't know if we can actually implement it. So I think we need the 6-month strategic plan to bring back a report to see if it's, plus we could also maybe get a grant for it. So.
Right. Okay. So we're going to keep the two topics separate then.
yes.
The separate
Yes.
record. Okay.
So I think I had started a motion to revise the letter. And I can't remember what exactly I said, but what I'd like to move, is that Chairperson Beauchamp and I and Director Anderson modify the letter based on the feedback that we've received tonight. And if the strategic planning date is set prior to our next meeting, then we will just simply finalize the letter based on this input and move forward with it. Obviously, if the strategic planning meeting isn't for another 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 months, then we have all the time in the world to talk about it. But that is my motion. And then I don't know if we want it included in that motion or a separate one, because I don't know that it takes a motion to just suggest that we go check out El Retiro. I mean, we can do that on our own time and as public citizens, but and then also suggesting that a couple of commissioners be available to speak on this topic at the date of the strategic planning meeting. It seems premature to do that at this point. I would certainly be willing to do it, but without a date, it seems like that's too soon to be making such a motion. So I'm kind of thinking out loud here, so I apologize, but my motion would be to work with Chairperson Beauchamp and Director Anderson to modify the letter and have it available if needed, should the strategic planning session be scheduled before our next meeting.
I would think, I think as part of that motion, maybe we could say, are there two commissioners who'd be willing to volunteer to potentially speak at the strategic planning meeting should it happen before our next meeting?
Okay. And I would certainly be willing to do that. It sounds like Commissioner Hall is willing to do that.
Yes.
Depending on the date.
Exactly.
Is that? Oh, I see Candace's hand, but
I'm sorry, I'm also happy to help as well.
Okay, so we have 3 potential speakers on the time and date.
okay.
So now I was trying to write the motion down so I can repeat it, but I'm not going to repeat it. Sorry. So is there a second?
I second the motion.
Okay. Perfect. Commissioner Fisi,
Yes. Aye.
Commissioner Hall,
Aye.
Commissioner Worsing.
Aye.
Commissioner Willers,
Aye.
and I vote yes. I just hope someone got the text on that because I couldn't get it.
I got it. I got it.
It was very comprehensive, so thank you very much. I know there was a lot of work done on the letter, a fantastic letter. There's a lot of components right now that we need to do to move forward, so thank you.
Mhm.
Okay. I apologize. I keep trying to move my mouse and it moves everything, so. Okay, moving on to the next agenda item. We are at, I believe we're at our discussion on filling staff, J, items for discussion prior to action. Now we're on just discussion on filling staff vacancies.
Yes. So, as you all recall, we had a frozen tech services librarian position. One of the
Sorry, Susan. I'm sorry. Did I skip strategic planning, or was that because I feel like
that was the letter. That was
okay, perfect. Thank you. Okay.
So, we've had a frozen tech services librarian position since about August 2019. Since August 2019. One of the things that the commission had been asking in their budget letter for the last several years was to add an additional reference librarian. Then we lost our tech services librarian, that was frozen. Then with this last budget, they okayed filling those positions again. So we had advertised for the tech services. We'd received about 125 applicants. And that was in September. And then our youth services librarian, Donia Sickler, announced that she had accepted an associate director position in Sturgis, South Dakota, where she had been wanting to move and where her son is moving. So that was great news for her, sad news for us. The only positive side of that is that we already had these 125 applicants for the tech services position, which was advertised as a generic librarian position. So we were allowed to use that same pool for the youth services position. So we are the first round of interviews for both those positions are this week. So I'm hoping by the time we have second interviews and have given offers to people and they may have to leave another job potentially, et cetera, that we'll have those both filled by the end of November, because right now I'm just down to one senior librarian. And I think we'll be okay right now because we do have two wonderful part-time technical library technicians in youth services that have been worked with Donia for quite a while. We do have a part-time teen librarian. But we are kind of, in terms of having an in-charge person, we've just got very few people spread to cover two locations, Monday through Saturday. Right now, the reduction in hours is helping with that a little bit because we have less hours to try to cover. But, if somebody were to go out on extended sick leave or something, it would be very difficult right now, but I think we can manage for a couple of months. Once we get into the holidays, that is kind of usually our slow period. A lot of our adult programming groups and leads still don't feel comfortable coming back in person yet. So we are not as busy as we had been in the past yet. So I think we can handle it for a couple of months, but I'll be very happy to get those positions filled. And, Donia Sickler, our youth services librarian, had done a great job with school outreach and all of that. So I'm happy that we're able to fill that position.
So that's all good news.
Yeah. Sounds good.
And I did hear you say end of November. Does that mean both positions will be filled by the end of November?
I hope so, yes, because we're starting the process for both of them this week.
Okay, great. Any other questions or comments? No? Okay, let's move on. Discussion of new electronic resources.
So I just wanted to mention that we are getting some new electronic resources, and these will be free for us because the press reader subscription is through the Southern California Library Cooperative. So all of the libraries in our cooperative are getting press reader. That one actually is already up on the site. So it looks like the actual newspaper. So you can see the LA Times like as the actual newspaper. And there also are a lot of foreign language publications in there. So it's quite a good service, and it's pretty pricey. So it's a nice addition for us to have. And then the state library is adding several free subscriptions that help with workforce development. We already have something that we pay for called Universal Class, but you'll see the list of what they're offering. And I just said, yes, we'll take them all. So it'll be, LinkedIn Learning, Learning Express, and several other sites that will help with workforce development. So those state library databases we will have for at least a year free and maybe longer. So that's just a bonus for us.
Is there a way, did you have, go ahead, Commissioner Worsing, go right ahead.
I just wondered if there's any additional training or responsibilities on staff out of all of this, or is it strictly online, it's available, and it's all free?
Well, there's a setup period. This is where I wish we had a technical services librarian, but we'll handle it. But there is sort of a setup period for all of them. And there is a little bit of staff training that needs to happen so that they can assist people with it. But, and another way a tech services librarian would be helpful is to hold some programs for the public on all of these services. But, hopefully, like I said, we'll have that person up and running so we can start doing that in early 2022. But in the meantime, they are things that people can access and use on their own.
Thank you.
So I think this is fantastic that we're getting more electronic resources. My only thing is I would love to see how we can communicate that to the public because these are amazing resources, especially it's really funny because there's even we have access to novelists with our library card. And it's funny because I've been seeing an app out there being sold to the public, which is like Novelist. So I'm thinking if people just use their library card, they would have it for free and they would save that money on the app. It's similar to what we had just done a couple of years ago. And the newer commissioners don't know this, but the library staff a couple of years ago made this fantastic spreadsheet of what you would be paying what you would be paying for in terms of Amazon or wherever, and versus the cost at a library, right? And the difference was in the hundreds, I believe. I just think I would love for a way to tell people that we have these things because it would save people money. I mean, especially with the pandemic, people are just really mindful of their cash. And they don't have to spend money on that. I mean, they could save a subscription, or they can save downloading an app, or, you know, a freemium app, right? The apps that are free, but then you pay for better services, right? Is there a way to do that? Like, I mean, I know we're limited with our website, right? Because we have to go through the city. But is it we can highlight?
You know, with Press Reader, unfortunately, we just sent out our newsletter for this month, and then like they made Press Reader live right after we sent that out, but I'll definitely highlight it in the November newsletter. So we've got the monthly newsletter, we've got Facebook, I put it on Facebook. I did send a flyer about Press Reader to the TV screens we have around the city. But one, you know, great thing we were able to do in the past is we were going to a lot of outreach events, not even just in Redondo Beach, but like in Torrance and other places. And we'd have a table and we'd have this information and we would pass it out. None of that's picked back up yet, but that definitely, especially when we get the tech services librarian, I want us to continue like attending those. You know, if you all can think of any place, please let me know if you can think of any like vocational training centers or anything in the area that, you know, we could put together a flyer and get the information to them. That's a good thought, to try to connect with those institutions.
Okay.
I think like the Adult Education Center, the South Bay Adult Education, and then any of the community colleges like El Camino. I think that'd be a good place to start, even if not necessarily their students. They would potentially know other people that might be interested in some of those services.
Okay.
Can I suggest also at the Beach Cities Health District offices?
Mm-hmm.
Those buildings the gym is used by everybody in the community. And if there were some postings there about what's happening at the library, it'd be fabulous.
Do they have any kind of community board there?
They do,
Oh, they do.
the minute you get off the elevator.
Okay.
And you know what the nice thing about Starbucks is that Starbucks doesn't really allow vendor postings. They want to focus on community postings. So like the one across the street from the library, that's, if you look at the board, it's all, I mean, when they have someone who puts like services for hire, they take those down. They keep up the like anything nonprofit.
Mm-hmm.
That's always nice too.
But our monthly newsletter does get a pretty good open rate. So that was a suggestion from
Oh, great.
recruitment
Yeah.
several years ago. So that is a good way to reach people.
Do you know the number on the circulate on how many people are, how many emails do you deliver? No.
That I don't know off the top of my head. I did know that at one time, but I don't remember. But I know that we used to look at like the open rate of it, and it was really good.
Oh, good. Okay. Fantastic.
Social media is a great place too. I like the idea of what you were saying, that you had a kind of list of how much money was being saved if they were to use the library services. So maybe like a graphic
Yeah.
I
run on the social media channels.
I think I still have mine, but it probably needs to be updated.
Yeah, I should look back on that. I
Mhm.
think I still have the last one we did as well.
I think I can look it up, but it was great. It was really eye-opening. Really
Yeah.
eye-opening.
And I agree. I think just a lot of people don't realize how many things they could get through the library.
Well, and I have a suggestion, but it sort of goes to a new agenda item for next time. So I really,
We can
I don't
go.
know if-
We can wait till referrals for staff, Commissioner Willers.
perfect.
Okay.
I think Commissioner Nafisi has her hand raised again.
Oh, yes, I apologize.
That's okay, that's okay. I just want to suggest the South Bay Workforce Investment Board.
Oh, yes.
You
Yes.
can also leave flyers there. There's also another one in Torrance called the Torrance One Stop Business and Employment Center.
Okay.
I have another contact, it's called Pacific Gateway Employment Center that kind of resides over the whole South Bay region. I can share a contact with you and you can just share it. Like, you have a virtual flyer that you could share?
Yeah, we haven't made one yet because the state library ones have not been activated yet. I'm working right now. LinkedIn contacted me, and so we're working on getting that one up and running, but we don't have the ones yet. But once they are all ready to go, we can definitely put something together. We can add like universal class to it as well.
Okay. Any other questions or comments for Director Anderson? No? Okay. Director's report, please.
Okay, so just a couple things I wanted to point out on the director's report was that on August 9th and 10th, our youth services librarian, Donia Sickler, and our part-time teen librarian were able to go to Redondo Union High School 9th and 10th grade orientation. So I'm glad we were able to have a table at that before Donia left. And then I also wanted to point out on October 19th, that week is National Friend of Libraries Week. And the past couple of years, that's when they've had their annual book sale. So even though they don't have all the volunteers back yet and the ability to put on as big of a book sale as they have in the past, they are going to have what we're calling a mini book sale in the children's book room, because we have an overflow of items that we need to move along. So we are going to try to put together some kind of book sale on the 19th. And then I did want to point out in September, we did start up our in-person story times. And just to go back to that email newsletter, at the first week or two, we had meant to send out a newsletter at the beginning of September, but it didn't get sent out until about mid-September. And some of the story times didn't have a lot of attendance until that email went out. And then people realized, oh yes, we have them going again. And then we've had pretty good attendance since then. The kids do have to wear masks. Everyone in the story time has to wear a mask, but we've still had, good attendance. And then we also have our summer reading program statistics in here. Now, the past 2 years, it's been online primarily, but the first year the library was closed in 2020. This last year we were open, or at least most of the summer we were open. And so kids were able to come in person to pick up their prizes. And so I think that's why we saw a lot of increase in participation over the year before when it was just all virtual. So that was a positive.
Nice.
Any questions or comments about the director's report?
Sounds great.
No, thank you. That was great. Okay, and then moving on, I believe we're doing member items of referrals to staff.
So
Commissioner Willers, did you want to suggest something for staff?
I want to suggest something for the next agenda.
Okay, this is perfect.
I don't think we're utilizing our councilmen as we could. They have a meeting, and usually once a month or twice a month, with their constituents. It used to be in person and now it's virtual, but a lot of people attend those meetings. And I think we should keep our councilmen and probably our mayor informed of some brief bullet points of the good things happening at the library. And they can pass that on to their constituents, so that we could, for instance, hand out a special report on getting the press reader and getting more online access.
I think that's a great idea.
And we do it once a month, and it's a library commission briefing. And we make it bullet points unless we can attach something about, the press reader and the other online and the job skills. We can give them more information, and they can then pass that on to their constituencies as real knowledge about something happening at the library. So I'm proposing that we discuss it at the next meeting and vote on it at the next meeting. And I will be happy to put a package together for the agenda. An example.
Thank you.
Not that I want to misuse our councilmen, but I do think we should use them. The one thing I saw coming in is that we talk to ourselves and we talk to the library, but we're not reaching people who are not card holders. And how can we do that? And I think one way might be through our councilmen.
So I think, Commissioner Koopman, I guess you all vote if you want to have that be a referral to staff or a referral to the next agenda.
It's not really a motion though, right? It's just a vote.
Yes.
Okay. Just to make sure. Yes, no? Just let me know. I'll let you, I can do either.
I think it would be, do we want this as an item on the next agenda? Communication with council members.
Sure. Okay, so moving forward, do we want to, I'm going to say Commissioner Willer's idea on the next agenda. Is that okay? Do I need to actually rephrase it?
No, it's okay. That sounds good to me.
Okay, good. On the next agenda. So Commissioner Nafisi? I can't hear you.
Aye.
I still didn't hear your answer.
Aye.
Aye, thank you. Commissioner Hall?
Aye.
Commissioner Worsing?
Aye.
Commissioner Willers?
Aye.
And I vote aye.
And then Commissioner Koopman, did you want to put a referral on there to discuss mid-year budget?
Yes, I would love to do that, please. Will they give another vote for that one? Yes, okay. Commissioner Nafisi?
Aye.
Commissioner Hall?
Aye.
Commissioner Worsing?
Aye.
Commissioner Willers?
Aye.
And I vote yes also. Fantastic. Are there any other items or referrals to staff? No? Okay. Well, the meeting is adjourned at 8:03 p.m. Thank you very much, ladies. Is the clerk still here? I see Eleanor Menzano.